You know, to be honest, I never really thought this day would come, that Apple would finally again admit that something of theirs, something they designed and manufactured, was inherently flawed. And that's exactly what they've done with the butterfly switches that they've implemented since the 2015 12-inch MacBook. Now, I own that MacBook. I also own the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the second gen revision of the butterfly switches, and that's why I'm making this video. I know most of you don't really care about Apple. You either don't like them or you don't like MacBooks in particular. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. You know why I use them. I have that explained in this video here. But as a user and owner of both the 12-inch and 13-inch MacBooks with these switches, I can attest to the fact that these are horribly flawed, and it's not something you'll pick up on right away, because you have to get dust under them, or you have to have some sort of mechanism failure, which happens usually in the long run, for you to experience, right, in order for you to actually hate the keyboard. Because at first, it's a weird feeling. I don't want to say that it's a bad feeling, it's just a different feeling. Typing on a key that has literally almost no key travel, no feeling of actuation really. It almost feels like typing on just glass. And in a way that's really cool. In a way it's a different feeling, and I like trying different things out. That's why I never really hated the butterfly switches from just a user standpoint, from a tactile key travel standpoint. But in terms of durability, in terms of how they're designed, they are flawed, and Apple has finally admitted that. So let's get down to it, why these switches actually failed and what Apple's going to do to address the issue. And that part is going to be very interesting, because they've actually hired a whole team of people specialized with repairing these keyboards, because I didn't expect that they would need to do this when they first manufactured the laptops, unless they had, robots or humans literally typing on these things for months until one of them failed. They said, this looks interesting, and Apple said, don't worry about it. Now, I don't think many people are going to complain. Yeah, little did they know, entire forums would be dedicated to how much people hate this keyboard because it doesn't last very long. The butterfly switch was a revolutionary step forward from Apple's perspective. It was a change from the traditional scissor switch that many people use. Here's how it works. I'm not going to bother drawing a schematic on a whiteboard or trying to show you in some weird CGI rendition. A scissor switch is this. You have an X, you have a hinge in the middle, and these two hinges are allowed to fold. The point of actuation for the key is in the center. You push down on top, and this is literally what happens, okay? So it flattens. When you push it down, actuation is here, and then the key bounces up to resting position here. So like a scissor, right? Now, the reason why Apple calls their switch the butterfly switch is because the arms of the key mechanism, when folded down, look like a butterfly flapping its wings, right? So the hinge is still in the center, point of actuation still in the center. You push down on the key and the arms go like this. So if you keep pressing the key, that's what it looks like, right? So the hinge is fixed, it's not going anywhere, and the arms are just folding down as you push the key down. The advantage of this, according to Apple, was that they could slim the profile overall. The laptop didn't have to be as thick because the entire key mechanism was thinner, and that of course resulted in minimal key travel, right? That was one of the things that people didn't like about it. They preferred the mushier keys of the previous MacBook that did have significantly more key travel to them. But one of the other unforeseen, possibly downsides of this design is that if you get even the smallest speck of dust underneath the key cap, then you've got a serious problem, because now one arm of the butterfly switch at least won't be able to fold down all the way, and then the key won't actuate. Apple admittedly did a better job with their second generation butterfly switches, making them feel a bit more tactile. The key travel was still basically the same, but it didn't feel like you were typing on glass as much. You did feel the key actually move this time and click, and that was just a more satisfying feeling overall, especially if you were typing on long documents on Microsoft Word or what have you. You don't want to feel like you're just typing on something that's not giving you any feedback. That's why people love mechanical keyboards. But the second generation butterfly switch did not solve the issue of crap getting stuck under the keycap and preventing the key from working overall. By the way, when we say actuating, we're meaning the key actually sending a signal to the motherboard, to the operating system, that the key was pushed, so that you get a symbol shown on screen. The company's been sued all over the place, class action lawsuits in states like California over the keyboard switch itself, the mechanism failing on them, and Apple refusing to acknowledge the issue overall in the long run has stirred up these lawsuits, and I'm sure Apple just decided at this point that they can no longer ignore the massive amounts of people having issues with their MacBooks, so they decided to start a new repair program. Now I have details here from The Verge. According to Apple's service page, the program covers the following issues. So letters or characters repeat unexpectedly. If you have that issue, you can get it fixed. letters or characters do not appear. That is basically the key not actuating, which is what we've been talking about. I think most people have that issue. And then either the keys feel sticky or do not respond in a consistent manner. That again is tied to the second point, and that is something I've personally experienced probably more than anything else, is that when you have that sticky feeling and they're not responding, you're not going to see any characters on screen. So if you have a MacBook that has been purchased within the last 4 years, which covers every MacBook featuring the butterfly switches to date, if you have the oldest one, you probably want to jump on this as soon as possible, then you can send your laptop in for repair. They can repair specific keys. The spacebar tends to be one that goes out a lot. My spacebar was crapped out. I had to actually fix that myself, and now it's still starting to get issues again. So I might actually send mine in and just see what happens. And what I'll do actually is I'll probably tell them, hoping they don't watch this video, that the whole keyboard's crap, because there are a few keys every now and then that don't work very well. And I'll see if they'll replace the entire keyboard. Might as well. But I feel like this is going to be a recurring issue, right? If they're going to use the exact same butterfly switch, this is just delaying the inevitable again. So maybe they're expecting people to sell these off or just junk them, but then that becomes somebody else's problem if you sell it to somebody else on eBay or Craigslist. I'm not sure what their long-term remedy is here, but this is technically classified as an extended warranty, and it again will cover every MacBook featuring butterfly switches as long as you send it in. It looks like you may be able to take this into an Apple store as well. I'm not too sure if they'll have certified technicians on hand for that specific problem, but if you guys have more information regarding that, please plaster it in the comment section below. I will appreciate it personally, because I'm going to try to take advantage of this as well. My spacebar again in particular has been just in and out, especially on the corners, you know, like the corners of the spacebar, that's primarily where I hit, are sometimes unresponsive. That's a pain. You hit the spacebar between every word that you type, and it just gets really frustrating after a while. So that's all for this one. I don't mean this to be like a news story. I don't typically cover news on this channel, but it did give me the opportunity to explain a bit more how the butterfly switch works, why it's different than the scissor switch, and in a nutshell, why it's failing in the long run. Look, mostly people just getting stuff stuck under the keys, right? I mean, that happens with any keyboard. Look at mechanical keyboards. Those are disgusting after about 6 months or so. But these keys, because the keycaps are slightly larger than the traditional keycap, and because the mechanism is just so narrow from a height perspective, anything that gets stuck underneath there is going to possibly allow the switch to fail. And that is where the entire design of the butterfly switch ultimately fails, is that it has no room for error. There's literally no room for anything to get stuck underneath there, and if it does, the key is basically dead. So with that, I want to know what you guys think, what you think about Apple, how you think they address this issue, and where you think things will be headed next time around, right? Maybe with their new MacBooks, they're going to improve the switch, redesign it completely. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Give a thumbs up for the video if you thought it was cool, thumbs down for the opposite, click that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more content like this. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us. By the way, guys, I want to give a huge shout out to @60force64 on Twitter for kind of throwing up a last minute thumbnail for this video. I wanted something creative, and I just wanted to see what you guys could do with it, and I was really happy with the design he came up with. So thanks for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one.